Hi guys, it's Teresa. Welcome back to my channel. So if you've seen my last video in which I talked about some books that I think are heavily underhyped, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should watch it. Today I'm going to do the counterpart, which is the books I think are overhyped. But this doesn't mean that I think the books are terrible. Bear that in mind. It just means that I think that my experience of reading them doesn't match up with what I've heard of them and with what apparently the majority of people kind of think, or like the loudest voices that I've been hearing at least think. So I'm basically just here to give you like maybe a more balanced opinion and like even out the scales of the hype, because honestly too much hype is never good, like ever. So the first book I think is a little bit overhyped at the very least. Is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. Now people are gonna say like, no, but it's so good. Like, it is good. It's a good book. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 3 stars. And I don't know why people like love it so much. It's maybe because of the movie or like sort of like the nostalgia factor of it. Honestly, I've never read this book as a child. I read it for the first time I think last year or the year before that, and it was a fun story, true, and I did enjoy the like actual story part. But if you've read the book, there's like an overarching story arc as well of like the person writing the story that's the actual story, and that part I did not care for like at all. I would have rated this book so much higher if that part was just like not existent. I know probably the author was trying to be like creative and witty and like I don't even know, different. I didn't like it at all. It was so distracting. I didn't care about it. And at the end you feel like the book is over, like the actual story of the story has finished, but then you need to read like several more pages of like what happened to the book then, and like I just didn't care. Like, I don't care. So yeah, overall I think the book is a little bit overhyped, maybe again in correlation with the movie, which I haven't seen, so I don't know. The next book I think is really, really overhyped, like by a lot, and I don't really get why. Maybe it's love for the author that makes people more like susceptible to liking the book, I don't know. But this is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I've read this book I think earlier this year, and I just didn't see it. I just didn't see it. I gave it I think like 2 or 2.5 stars. I thought that there was very little world building in this book for being a first book. The world seems sort of like patched together with the barest of like bones or whatever, and you know when you hear summaries of this plot, you pretty much always hear the same thing, and that's because there's literally nothing more to say. Like, there are several different Londons, they have different states of magic in them, and this one guy can pass between them, like that's it. Like, that's all pretty much that we learn. I also thought that this had very little actual plot and a very little point to the story, and that several characters, and I'm looking at you Lila specifically, are extremely annoying, and like just I couldn't stand her. I don't know why I was forced to read about her for such extended periods of time, because she's the actual worst, and I just didn't care for this book, like at all. And I don't understand, honestly, like no shade, I don't understand why people like it. I don't. Sometimes I can like see that a book is not for me, like the different thing, like they're just not made for me, right? And I like, okay, maybe other people enjoy this. I don't get why other people enjoy this, like I just don't. Sorry, I don't. The next book is even more recent that I think is very, 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 very overhyped. So if you think like about thrillers, like actually the next 2 books fit into this category. Thrillers that you see in like every favorite thrillers video, or like that everyone is reading and loving, and like, and then you pick books from that list, and like unfortunately these 2 just don't work for me. Like, I just didn't enjoy them that much. The first is I'll Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. I've talked about this a little bit more extensively in my last wrap-up, so I will link that for you to check out if you want to know more. This book pretty much survives on the existence of its twist. Like, that's the only really remarkable thing about it. That's the only moment where I was like, oh, wait, what? In the book. But the thing is that this twist happens fairly early on, like I think a third into the book, and then from then on it just seems like a grind to get through the rest. The rest doesn't live up to that part. The rest doesn't like live up to that twist at all, and you keep thinking like, when is the next one gonna come, and it just never comes. The rest is entirely predictable, and apart from that one twist, if you just take that away, if you assume it doesn't exist, this book is so generic and it's kind of boring, and I don't get why people love it so much. I don't want to read thrillers just for the twist. Like, that seems a bit too gratuitous for me. It's like watching horror movies that are only based on like showing as much gore and blood as they can. Like, that's not enough for me. Some people might enjoy that, sure, and if you're just reading thrillers for the twists, then that's fine, but I just want more. I want actual, like, I want me to be scared, I want me to be surprised, I want me to be on the edge of my seat for the entire time, and not just for a little bit that's a twist and then we move on and like that's it. Like, there needs to be more to a book than that, in my opinion. In a thriller, there needs to be more to a thriller than that, and this just fell short. I still gave it like 3 stars. I think it was fine. It just wasn't like the 5 stars, oh my god, amazing, amazing, amazing thriller that people make it out to be. And then the second and last thriller is pretty much the same sort of story. Not the story and like the plot, but like for me the same experience reading it and like my feelings about it, and that is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Again, I think that this is a thriller that rests very heavily on one particular twist, and the rest is a bit lackluster. And I understand that not every moment in a book can be like, I don't even know, crazy, you know, phenomenal and crazy, blowing your mind, but I just wanted a bit more from this, particularly since so many other people really loved it. And again, this is another situation where I can definitely see why other people love it. For me, again, the book kind of drops off after the twist, and I lost interest after the twist, and the rest is just like rambling on, and from that point forward I just didn't care anymore. It's just not as fantastic in my eyes as other people seem to think it is. And finally, my last overhyped book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a sort of chick lit book, I think. And it's fine to be a chick lit book, but the things that I didn't like about it is that it made it seem like it was trying so hard to be sort of sending some really important messages and doing some real like important things, and I just didn't see that there. It was very surface level, but it was clear that it was trying to be so much deeper than it actually was. And I don't mind books being lighthearted and easy reads, but I want them to sort of acknowledge that they are lighthearted and easy reads, and this book was not really doing that. I also didn't like some of the messages the book sent. Again, you can watch my, I think, July wrap-up for more thoughts on that. And overall, I didn't care for the main character, and I didn't care to read all her biography, because pretty much that's what this book is. So yeah, I don't really see why people love it so much, and it fell just quite a little bit short for me. And that is it, some of the most overhyped books I have read in recent times. Let me know, you guys, what you think of these, and if you have any other books that you think are severely overhyped. I'm not necessarily talking about books that are shit, but people claim they're not, because none of these books are shit. They're just either not great or not as fantastic as many people make them out to be. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more videos coming soon. I will see you then. Have a lovely week. Bye!